Hey guys, my name is Lenka and I love reading. Today I wanted to share with you my thoughts on some of the books I read recently and hopefully I can help you pick up your next book to read. So let's get started. The first one is called Dear Edward, this one. And it's really about a very touching story that started out as a tragedy. So it's basically about a 12-year-old boy that's called Edward, who survived a plane crash as the only survivor, and all of his immediate families, including his parents and his brother, all died in the plane crash, and so did everyone else who was on that plane. That's kind of the start of the story, and then the author tells the story in actually two different lines. So one of them is, of course, for Edward and how his life was after the plane crash and how he struggled to recover, to grieve, and to grow, and to eventually find happiness in life, to overcome this survivor's guilt despite of what happened. Another line is about all these people who boarded that plane and what happened to them, their personal lives, and their interaction during that plane ride. So it's really interesting because all the characters are really very well built up, and each of them has very distinct personalities. So even though everything happened during a plane ride, you feel that you really know these people and their life, which is just amazing. I really enjoying that part. So I think in general, this book, it's a very good read. I think it has a lot of literal and aesthetic value because of the way the writer writes it. And it's gonna be a very quick read. So I think if you're time sensitive and if you're just looking for something that's touching, beautiful, and creative to read, I would definitely give this a try. So I'm gonna rate all the books on a scale of 1 to 5, and then for this one, I think difficult to read 3 or 2. I would say 2. Fun to read 3.5, and a literary value 3.5. Okay. So the second book that I want to talk about is called The Power of Habit. As you guys can see, I really read it very, very carefully. And I have to say that this is probably one of the best nonfiction books that I've ever read. This book talks about the underlying scientific mechanism for changing a habit or forming a habit, and just how most of the things that we do in life every day and most of the accomplishments that we are able to achieve are driven and executed by millions of these tiny habits. So by reading this book, you'll be able to understand how habits work on a brain level or biology level, and then cognitive level and behavior level. And with this better understanding and awareness of habits, I think you can start to change some of your personal habits into better ones that are just more aligned with your personal goals. In addition to that, and which is also why I really like this book, is that it also talks about organizational habits and societal habits and how you can use the same underlying scientific reasoning to explain and achieve organizational impact and societal impact. So that's why I think it's a book that's gonna be really good for someone who's a manager, a leader, or really just anyone who is trying to have a bigger impact on a bigger scale. Lastly, this book is also not boring at all, which is very important for me as a reader and probably to a lot of you guys too. Now, the author is just so good with telling intriguing stories to support the theories. I think the layout of the storytelling is almost artistic. You know what I mean? And it's just really, really fun to read. I think that's really hard for a lot of other nonfiction books. So I would really highly recommend this book to anyone who's working on some personal goals or just trying to change some bad personal habits or trying to form some really healthy and productive habits, but finding it really hard to do so. There is also another book that's called Atom Habits, which would be a great supplement to this book. So in Atom Habits, you'll find more practical and specific tools to use when you're trying to form a habit. So I think by combining the theories in this book and the tools introduced in Atom Habits, you would have everything that you need to achieve your goals or change your behavior. So read it. The rating for this book I would give is difficulty to read 3.5 stars, fun to read 3.5 stars, and insightfulness I would give it a 5. last book that I wanted to talk about is called Becoming. I'm sure a lot of you guys are already pretty familiar with this book because this book has just been so popular ever since it came out, and I think on Goodreads it's got like so many good reviews, but I just recently read it. This book gives you great information on Obama's personal growth story as well as the trajectory of Obama family's life. The book is written in a very professional and polished way. Not really, to be honest, not really my favorite style because I usually prefer the more creative, humorous, or just casual writing style, but it is definitely, you can tell that the author put a lot of efforts into writing every single sentence. And to be honest, sometimes I feel like I'm reading a very well written essay, a administration essay for HBS, like the What Matters to You personal essay. And I mean, of course, this essay would totally get you in, no doubt. But yeah, just my personal opinion. So no offense to a lot of the book fans out there, but I do agree that there's a lot of optimism, a lot of mainstream values, a lot of resilience that's shown in this book. So she talks about gun control, violence issues, obesity, and healthcare. So all those things that the previous administration really cared about, and I loved reading that part. What I liked the most about this book, though, is the part where she talked about her own upbringing. She reflected on her vulnerabilities, on race, on the nation's vulnerabilities, and which I really enjoyed because I feel like I could see a real person, a real Michelle Obama as a human being. So in a nutshell, I think it is still a very good book to read. I think it's gonna be extra motivational for women from a minority group, and also for just anyone, you know, who wants to understand more about their life, about how the system works. So in terms of reading, difficulty to read, 3 stars, fun to read, 3 stars, insightfulness, 4. So that's all the books that I wanted to talk about today, and I'm obviously reading more books, and I'm gonna make more videos on book recommendations and book reviews. But if you're interested in any specific topic, please let me know. Thank you for watching. Bye.